Celtic famously won the 1967 European Cup by solely using players born within a 30-mile radius of the club's stadium in Glasgow. These days, it's much more rare to find a Celtic team filled with Scottish talent, but since the turn of the millennium, there have been plenty of talented players from Scotland to pull on the hoops. In this video, we'll take a look at my personal choice for an all-Scottish starting 11, consisting only of players who have played for the club since 2000. Before getting into today's video, I just want to say thanks to everyone for subscribing over the years. I never thought it'd hit 1,000 subs, let alone have the channel performing as well as it is now. I've launched a Patreon where you can help support me to keep producing regular content. There will be exclusive content posted for Patreon members, and I'll have full, unedited videos also available to members, as YouTube copyright claims mean some of the existing channel videos have had to be sliced and edited at times. Thanks so much to anybody kind enough to sign up, and of course, I'll still be posting regular videos on this channel. In nets, it has to be Craig Gordon. Rob Douglas pulled off some big saves over the years, but he was incredibly blunder prone, especially on the big occasion. Jonathan Gould was decent enough, if unspectacular, at the start of the millennium, while a young David Marshall broke through and seemed destined to be Celtic's number one for years to come, only to quickly find himself out of contention after Artur Boruc arrived. Craig Gordon was signed in the summer of 2014. He had been plagued with knee injuries and went over 2 years without a club prior to signing. The club sold fan favourite goalkeeper Fraser Forster to Southampton for £10 million and replaced him with a free agent who many had assumed had retired from the game completely, including not even being listed as a player at one point in Football Manager. It was a huge gamble, but Gordon exceeded expectations and made the jersey his own over the next few years. He wasn't without some high-profile blunders of his own, including against Inter Milan in a Europa League knockout round tie, but Gordon would earn 242 appearances for the club, winning 5 league titles, numerous trophies, and was a near ever-present in the invincible treble team. At right back, I've gone with Jackie McNamara. When Martin O'Neill took over in the summer of 2000, Jackie was a bit part squad player for the first few years of O'Neill's tenure. However, when O'Neill reverted from a back 3 to a back 4 in the 2003-04 season, McNamara became a key player for the team, even eventually earning the captain's armband. Often deployed at left back to accommodate Didier Gath, McNamara could play on either side, but was at his best when bombing up and down the right hand side of the pitch. The centre half roles are a tricky one to work through. There haven't been a great deal of first team regular Scottish centre halves for Celtic throughout the past 25 years, but one who stands out is Stephen McManus. He came through the youth ranks to become a first team regular, and again, even worked his way to being captain under the management of Gordon Strachan. Nobody ever has or ever will claim McManus was a spectacular football player. He was an old school backs to the wall defender, which suited the productive defensive setup Strachan deployed in European encounters. McManus was part of a Celtic defence that made it to the last 16 of the Champions League in consecutive years. No easy feat. Partnering McManus in the heart of defence during those years was Gary Caldwell, but I haven't been able to bring myself to name Caldwell here. He was simply too blunder prone in big games. Instead, I've gone with John Kennedy. Kennedy broke into the starting 11 around 2003ish, putting in a spectacular shift in particular at the Nou Camp in a 2004 UEFA Cup tie that saw Celtic hold Barcelona to a 0-0 draw to advance to the next round. His form was so good at this point he earned a Scotland call-up, and that's where tragically, on his full international debut, he would suffer an injury that would put him on the shelf for over 3 years. Kennedy returned to first team action for Celtic in 2007 and racked up some more appearances, looking impressive, but was eventually forced to retire from injuries, aged just 26. I've gone with Kennedy for the unknown factor, potential that sadly could never be fulfilled due to undeserved injury. I'd still take that over the Heed. Left back is as easy a choice as you could possibly make. Kieran Tierney is perhaps the finest talent Celtic have produced this century, and there's no way Ross Wallace or Stephen Craney are keeping Tierney out of this side. In the centre of midfield there was more options to pick from. Special shoutouts to Paul Hartley and Barry Robson, whose steal in the middle of the park helped us win the 2008 SPL title. But the first name here has to be Paul Lambert. A classy defensive mid, Lambert arrived at Celtic on the back of great performances for Borussia Dortmund, helping them win the Champions League in 1997. He captained the side in the early 2000s to several league titles and always showed class and composure in the middle of the park. Partner and Lambert really came down to two choices, and I know plenty of people will be annoyed to see Scott Brown left out of the team. The 9-in-a-row captain and club legend, how could Brown not make the side? It just comes down to personal preference, and I believe a midfield consisting of Paul Lambert and Callum McGregor would be the strongest Celtic could possibly field. McGregor was introduced to the first team by Ronnie Deila in 2014, but really prospered when Brendan Rodgers arrived as manager in 2016. He earned a spot as a regular starter and has gone on to become club captain, leading the club to yet more league titles. The attacking options aren't so competitive in truth. At right wing, I've gone with James Forrest. Over 100 goals and assists for the club. Forrest has had an amazing career at Celtic. Let's be honest, it has been inconsistent and he's not always been a big game player. But for longevity, trophy haul and goals return, I can't see beyond Forrest in this position. At left wing, I was tempted to go with Charlie Mulgrew for his crossing and defensive strengths, but I'll give the nod to Chris Commons. Like Forrest, he could be inconsistent, once following up a 1-goal season with a 19-goal season, which he then followed up with a 32-goal season. He fell out of favour when managers demanded more professionalism and dedication, but in his prime, Commons was an excellent attacking threat, capable of scoring against anyone. The two striker positions don't leave a lot to play with. There have been some absolute duds, namely Craig Beattie, and a bunch of talent who never lived up to their hype, like Mark Burchill and Tony Watt. I've gone with Sean Maloney. Later an attacking midfielder/winger, Maloney broke through as a striker, making his debut in a 3-0 win over Rangers at Ibrox in 2001. Maloney was an excellent technical player who all too often spent lengthy spells on the injury table, but he's as good a forward as Celtic have produced this millennium. And that leaves the easy choice for the second striker position, Lee Griffiths. His name is somewhat poisoned these days for various reasons, but the man had a 40-goal season and netted 123 goals in 261 appearances for the club. No other Scottish striker for Celtic since the year 2000 comes even close. There's a Kenny Miller video on the channel if you want to see why he's not named here. Let me know your thoughts on the team and drop your own all-Scottish starting 11s in the comments.